our Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs, to make several stops in Europe and the region to intensify our consultations with allies and partners about the situation in Libya. I've also asked Secretary Clinton to travel to Geneva on Monday, where a number of foreign ministers will convene for a session of the Human Rights Council. There she'll hold consultations with her counterparts on events throughout the region and continue to ensure that we join with the international community to speak with one voice to the government and the people of Libya. And even as we are focused on the urgent situation in Libya, let me just say that our efforts continue to address the events taking place elsewhere, including how the international community can most effectively support the peaceful transition to democracy in both Tunisia and in Egypt. So let me be clear. The change that is taking place across the region is being driven by the people of the region. This change doesn't represent the work of the United States or any foreign power. It represents the aspirations of people who are seeking a better life.
Okay, that's enough. It is on record that Google, George Soros, the CIA, the NSA, British intelligence were all over the overthrow of Hosni Mubarak. That's not debated now. It's a fact. It is not debated that the major opposition forces triggering this in Tripoli and in and around Libya was run out of the West. And he sat there and said this has nothing to do with foreign powers involved. That is another lie from the liar-in-chief.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Diamond Gusset is proud to announce the anthem of the Patriot Movement. They're offering a free CD, T-shirt, and bumper sticker with a qualifying purchase. Diamond Gusset offers great products at great prices while keeping Americans working.
I'm looking for a factory where a man can feed his family. Not worried about them moving it south, closing the doors and shutting her down tomorrow. I'm looking for America.
We're American and be proud. Go to gusset.com/America.
The land of the free and the home of the brave. Seems like I just woke up one day and it was gone, long gone. But I know in my heart it's still
Again, go to gusset.com/America today.
Alex told you the government announced recently that the recession is over. It ended on June of 2009. The millions of Americans unable to find work might not agree. Perhaps the recession ended for the bankers and government employees, but for the rest of us, things seem to be getting worse. Gold and silver haven't heard the news either. They've begun their long-expected journey to the moon. In addition to converting your shrinking dollars into gold and silver, you should consider a food savings account from eFoods Direct. They both make fabulous investments. Food is our greatest dependency, and we know it will be more precious than any financial resource. You and your family need food to survive a crisis, and you can't eat paper, stocks, or metals. Alex has been urging you to invest in delicious, easy-fix meals to enjoy now or save for long-term. This will freeze the cost of your food while you can still afford it. Visit efoodsdirect.com on the internet or call 800-409-5633. That's efoodsdirect.com or 800-409-5633.
You may be arrested and or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cameras, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
We're continuing to cover this earth-changing information that's unfolding in Libya. Now, that was a 5-minute clip. We almost aired all of his short statement, his 5.5-minute statement last night, President Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama. And I want people to understand what they're openly saying. They're talking about an invasion. Now, remember what happened to U.S. forces in Somalia, chronicled in the movie Black Hawk Down. What do you think's going to happen? I know it goes from bad to worse. If a international force, badly coordinated, goes into Libya, well, they intend to basically stampede Gaddafi into fleeing or cause more of his forces to turn against him. They know that if a big task force that's now being prepared in the Mediterranean goes in there, and you notice recently under the Egypt cover, more U.S. aircraft carriers came into the Med. So they're all just sitting there waiting. Now you see the grand chessboard becoming crystal clear, and now the invasion can begin. And the globalists may just be testing to see if they threaten an invasion and lie and say that he's fled Libya, that will destabilize him further and give more power to the opposition to make sure he falls. And then they can come in to render humanitarian aid, i.e. take over the entire infrastructure and the trillions of dollars of oil that are confirmed to be in Libya. But there's a whole nother facet to this that I mentioned earlier, and that is dealing with the strafing. And Kurt Nimmo wrote a story about this last night, so did one of our other great writers, dealing with the fact that thousands and thousands of people a year are killed by the 1,000-plus drones operating in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan and other areas of North Africa. And they just fly around with Hellfire missiles on them. Their favorite target is a wedding because they can get a bunch of people together, and they'll drop one bomb into the middle of it, killing 120, 150, 200 in some cases or more people. You've seen it in the news. And our media says, well, that's reasonable. There were 2 terrorists out of the 150 people, and that's acceptable. I mean, we've seen cases of where our military has bombed entire apartment complexes to kill one person. And that's good. That's freedom. But when Gaddafi reportedly does it, we don't know if that's true, probably is. He's fighting desperately for his dictatorship. Then it's, oh, my gosh, we're so outraged. This is terrible. It's kind of like when we hear reports of foreign governments torturing people. And it's, oh, this is so terrible. This is so dark. This is so evil. We need to invade this country or that country. We need to go into Sudan because the Muslims in the north, they get the Christians and they torture them. They get the Christian soldiers and they torture them. They pull their fingernails out. They beat them. But then when our government comes out and Rumsfeld says, yeah, we're taking off the gloves, yeah, we're torturing, and the White House memos, it's like, good. That's what Jack Bauer does on 24, man. That's getting tough. It's getting tough, strafing and bombing big crowds in markets and people meeting for weddings or people fishing by the side of a river. What the Pentagon put out last year? Unknown terrorist will now be targeted. In fact, people won't believe that. Google unknown terrorist. No-name terrorist will now be targeted by drones. And it says in Pakistan and Afghanistan, we don't even have to know their name or know exactly who they are. If they look like a terrorist, a guy with a turban on and a gown on with an AK-47, we're going to go ahead and drop a $300,000 missile on them. No-name terrorists now being targeted in drone attacks. I think that was MSNBC and Associated Press. Let's see if I'm right. That was about a year ago, maybe even 2. But again, think about the hypocrisy. When the globalists that run our country torture, it's good. When the globalists that run our country spy on us without warrants, right out of East Germany or 1984, it's good. When the globalists strafe and kill people, it's good. When they do all of this, it's wonderful. But then when somebody else reportedly does it, it is the most horrible thing in the world. It is, oh, it's horrible. We've all got to be of one voice together right now and condemn this. You know, some say that sometimes the Libyans torture people. And we're like, well, here's army manuals from Vietnam on how to torture, including hooking electrodes to men and women's genitals. Well, that's patriotic. That's very patriotic. That's good. Yeah, but you just said torture was wrong. Well, it's wrong when them people with brown skin do it, but when we do it, it's patriot. It's patriot. And then, of course, the fool's errand, people that get into all of this and sit there watching shock and awe, devastation in Iraq as whole high-rise buildings are bombed with 4,000-pound salvos. I've talked to pizza place owners, liquor store owners over the years, and they've told me, because I'd already noticed it, that holidays aren't the biggest time for liquor and pizza orders. Things that are seen as celebratory. The Super Bowl isn't even. It's when a new war is launched, and CNN and Fox are covering it. Every good old boy pulls in, gets their favorite liquor. They buy steaks. They go in. They cook it up, and they feel so manly. It's like a video game. Yeah, look at that building blow up. Woo, boy, I'm feeling good right now. And they all get their little American flags, and they put them on their cars. And they drive around while the group that's attacking those countries, those innocent countries, and killing, in Iraq, at least 1 million people as a result of it. Don't you understand the globalists see you as just as worthless as an Iraqi or a Libyan or an Egyptian or a North Vietnamese? And it's getting crazy. Again, Obama condemns Libyan violence, calls for international response, and says that in the days previous they are preparing to intervene with military force. And they go on and say because they're abusing the democracy, protesters. Yeah, when you saw footage in Bahrain where they were actually shooting unarmed people with flags, that's one thing. But what do you think would happen in the U.S. if you and 10 of your buddies went and tried to attack the front gate at a major military base? Within seconds, machine guns would open up on you. I mean, that's a fact. That's a stated default position. So if you look carefully, in all the cases where Gaddafi, reportedly, we don't know if it's true, has bombed and strafed people, it's when they're using commandeered tanks to run over fences and invade military bases of a dictator. What do you think he's going to do? I'm not saying it's good. What do you think our government would do if we tried to take over military bases? I mean, this is total and complete hypocrisy. And he's got chemical weapons. And by the way, the evidence is now clear. In 1991, Saddam Hussein did fire off chemicals. And to get rid of the evidence, it was all videotaped by the Marine demolition teams. It's online. The U.S. markings, the Russian markings, but mainly U.S. in the Camisea and hundreds of other dumps. It was one of the biggest. And they blew them up. In fact, the news thought that nukes were going off because it was creating such big mushroom